Straight ahead, doubling down. Democrats who broke quorum and left Texas killed the first special session and didn't show up for the start of the second special session. Many believe they will come tomorrow. One-on-one, we spoke with Governor Greg Abbott exclusively about whether Republicans will try to increase the number of GOP majority seats in Congress beyond the 5 already proposed, and about his legal fight to remove a key Democrat from office. Changing seats? Why Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett says she is considering running in a neighboring congressional district and not the one she currently represents. Good Sunday morning to you. I'm Jack Fink at the Texas Capitol. Get your fix for Texas politics. Eye on Politics starts now. Hello and welcome to Eye on Politics. For the second straight week, we are here at the Capitol where the Republicans and Democrats continue their showdown over redistricting and new congressional maps that would give the GOP 5 extra seats at the expense of Democrats. But tomorrow, this fight will likely enter a new phase. Speaker Dustin Burrows said House members must be here at noon. After Texas House Democrats broke quorum, flew out of Texas, and stayed out for 2 weeks, the prevailing view is that they will return to the Capitol tomorrow.
There being 95 members present, a quorum is not present.
On Friday, Speaker Burrows ended the first special session after the House once again fell short of a quorum, which requires 100 lawmakers to be present. The Senate ended its first special session then too, and then Governor Abbott called for the start of the second special session with the same agenda to start a couple of hours later Friday at noon. But the House again did not have a quorum. Democrats said they wanted to kill the first special session, which allowed them time to go to other states, such as California, where Governor Gavin Newsom said if Texas approves its new maps, California will do the same in an effort to neutralize any GOP gains here. The difference there is voters in California will have to approve it, something that won't happen here.
I know they say don't mess with Texas. Well, don't mess with the great Golden State. It's not good enough to just hold hands, have a candlelight vigil, and talk about the way the world should be. We have got to recognize the cards that have been dealt, and we have got to meet fire with fire.
During a news conference Friday, I asked Governor Abbott about Newsom's plan.
It's a joke. He's posturing for the presidency and doing nothing more than that. He's all talk and no action.
Earlier last week, I interviewed Governor Abbott exclusively, and I asked him about his ongoing legal fight to remove from office House Democratic Caucus Chairman Gene Wu of Houston. I also asked him about whether Republicans are going to try to increase the number of GOP majority seats beyond the 5 proposed to maybe more, like 8 or even 10.
We're looking at a lot of different alternatives. In part, it could be to make sure that we do have fairness. If you compare Texas to California or Illinois or New York or Massachusetts, those states are truly gerrymandered. And they have hardly any Republican representation in Congress whatsoever.
So is Texas, right?
Well, no. There's a higher percentage of Democrats in Texas than there are in the congressional delegation than there are Republicans in California, Illinois, New York, or Massachusetts. And so if Texas were to draw its maps the way that these Democrat states have drawn their maps, it could mean as many as maybe even 10-seat pickup. So, Jack, what we're doing, we're looking at all options, but the thing that's needed is for people to show up, these members of the Democrat caucus. They can't just leave their job. They're required by the Texas Constitution to actually show up and cast votes on bills. That's what the Constitution requires, and that's why I'm seeking to remove Gene Wu from office, because he is not fulfilling his constitutional duty.
Well, I was going to ask you about that lawsuit, because not only are you filing, the Attorney General has filed against Wu and also 12 other Democrats. And what we saw 4 years ago, this opinion by the Texas Supreme Court said, let me get the terminology right, basically that the Constitution enables quorum breaking,
right,
which is what they're doing. So it's enabled. So why isn't that an adequate defense for these Democrats? And is the other legal problem the fact that the Constitution does not explicitly ban quorum breaking.
So in the Supreme Court opinion you were talking about, a very carefully chosen word, it enables quorum breaking, but doesn't authorize it. Let me give you an easy example, and that is an interstate highway enables you to go 100 miles per hour, but doesn't authorize it. It's against the law. Same thing here. Even though the Constitution enables Democrats to break quorum, the Constitution does not authorize them to do this. In fact, the Constitution does the exact opposite. It requires them to show up and cast votes on bills.
And so, but it doesn't ban it. Does the Constitution need to be changed to make it more explicit, or do you think that this lawsuit, if the Supreme Court rules your way, will handle that?
If the Supreme Court rules in favor of the lawsuit that I filed, it will end quorum breaking. You know, if you look at the wording of the Constitution, it was intended to address situations where somebody may be absent. You know, it was written at a time back when you had farmers and ranchers taking care of their ranches, or people could get ill, different things like that. It wasn't even considering purposeful quorum breaking. They did not think at the time they wrote the Constitution that people would not show up and do their job. And yet that's exactly what happened. There have to be consequences in the real world. If you don't show up to do your job, you'll lose your job. Same thing should happen with regard to Texas House members. If they don't show up to do their job, they should lose their job. I'm seeking to vacate them or remove them from office because they were refusing to show up and do their job.
And so right now, some Republicans they've already filed a bill that would make it illegal. Basically, if a lawmaker doesn't show up for a consecutive 7 days, then they vacate. So is that something you would support, and would you add that to a special session agenda?
Absolutely. The problem is that would require a constitutional amendment that requires 2/3 votes. And so the runaway Democrats who don't want to do their job, they could stop that from passing.
On Thursday, I asked Representative Wu about the governor's ongoing legal fight to remove him from office and when exactly they will return to the Capitol.
From the very beginning, we stated that we have two major goals in breaking quorum, in being out of the state. And one was to kill this corrupt special session and force them to reset it and restart it, and hopefully listen to the people for once. And then the second thing was to try to convince other states that they need to now step up and take action to stop this, whether that is to stop them by scaring the Republicans into not doing it, by saying, like, if you do it, California do it, or as in case now, where it just won't matter. If Texas does it, California will put up a bill that says if Texas redraws their maps, then they automatically get new maps, right? And we're basically making it pointless for the Republicans to keep doing this. I think we're on track to meet both of those goals very soon.
Timetable wise, just, Texans are going to be curious. What does that look like time wise? Because we know that Governor Abbott has said, if there's no quorum in the House and the Lieutenant Governor and the House Speaker have said the same thing. So at 10 a.m. Friday, if there's no quorum in the House, both chambers are going to adjourn sine die. The end of the special session is there. Governor Abbott says the second special session is going to start right away. So you're saying Friday is a no-go. You won't be back tomorrow. What about Saturday? What about Sunday? What about Monday?
So I think the point that's probably the most relevant that among discussions with our membership is we decided to come to Illinois on our own. That was our decision because we were tired of their corruption and what they're doing. And when we go back, it will be on our terms. We will go back when we decide to go back, not when Governor Abbott tells us to go back. We listen to our people, we listen to our allies, and we work together to try to save the American dream and to save Texans. And our decision to go back is going to be no different.
And so no decision has been made on exactly which day you're going to return to Texas.
Not that we're going to share, at least.
Governor Abbott, in his lawsuit to remove you from office, and obviously you're also part of the Attorney General's office, their lawsuit to remove you. And one of the things that the governor said in his filing was that, a minority, such as the Democrats in this case, can hold the rest of the House hostage. And so are you concerned that you'll return when you'll return, that you're playing in the hands of his legal argument, and the Texas Supreme Court is going to look at what you're doing and agree.
I don't know how to break it to Governor Abbott. But despite the fact that he personally appointed most of the Supreme Court justices in the Texas Supreme Court, they're not going to do what he's going to want. Because what they would have to do is ignore the law, ignore the Constitution, that both say that quorum breaking is a part of the process, is a legislative tool. They would have to ignore their own words when the Texas Supreme Court said that quorum breaking is an acceptable tool in the legislative process.
For the past couple of weeks, House Republicans have expressed frustration about the Democrats breaking quorum. I spoke with Representative Shelley of Grayson County about the end of the first special session and what she would like to see happen next in redistricting.
That was in the books to do that anyway, and that's fine. They can say whatever they want to say, but when the second session starts, there should be fireworks.
And, well, what kind of fireworks?
I'm not the speaker, so I don't know, but I see the suggestions floating around as far as losing seniority, losing privileges. Chairmanships, budget money, all sorts of things.
How is this playing out as far as your constituents? Have you heard from them at all about this?
Oh yeah, my constituents are extremely upset, mad, honestly, that they are not doing their job that they were elected to do.
Have you heard that the governor is going to expand the number of items in the second special session yet?
I have heard that.
And so what new topics are you being told are going to be on there?
Honestly, one of the topics I'm hearing floating around is redistricting the state house seats. I'm here for it.
And how many seats? Because right now, Republicans have 88 seats, Democrats have 12. So you're saying that the goal there for Republicans is to redraw the Texas House seats so that there could be enough new Republican majority seats to avoid a quorum break by Democrats.
It's very possible. I don't know if we can get to 100, but we can get close enough to where if there's a few Democrats that will not, because we had Democrats from the start that stayed here and did not break the quorum. So if we just had a few along with that, then we can take care of the state's business.
The other thing that we have heard during the past week from Republican lawmakers, I even talked to the governor earlier this week and he told me the same thing. There's already been conversations about increasing the number of congressional seats that are GOP majority. Instead of 5, which is really what House Bill 4 was, there's been talk of increasing that to maybe 8, 9, 10. What are you hearing about that?
I've heard the same as you.
Do you support that?
I do.
Why?
I do. Because it should be representative of the state. Honestly, I think we should have as many congressional members as we do in the state. That reflects the divide of politics in the state. And right now, I think Texas is growingly more Republican.
For now, the House bill remains the same. Republicans are only seeking to add 5 GOP majority seats at the expense of Democrats, nothing more. And the governor has not yet called for redistricting of state House and Senate seats, something that the Republicans want. But he said all options are on the table. He was asked about it on Friday.
Every strategy is at play. Depends on when and whether the Democrats show up. They talk as though they're going to be showing up today or tomorrow. We'll wait and see.
Up next, why Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett tells us she's considering running in a different North Texas congressional district than the one she represents now. When Eye on Politics from the Texas Capitol comes right back. Welcome back to Eye on Politics from the Texas Capitol. Once the House establishes a quorum, Republicans are expected to pass the new congressional maps which favor the GOP. In North Texas now, there are 3 Democrats who serve in Congress, but under the new maps, there will only be 2 majority Democratic districts. That's because District 32, now represented by Democrat Julie Johnson, will become a Republican majority district and extend to East Texas. District 33, now represented by Democrat Mark Vesey of Fort Worth, includes both Tarrant and Dallas counties now, but under the new maps, it will only be in Dallas County. And Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett told me she is considering running in the newly drawn 33rd Congressional District because her home will be in that district instead of the 30th district she represents now.
I think that you're going to see Texas ram it through because that's what Texas does, with no input whatsoever from the members. And when I say the members, I mean even the Republican members. This map was not created by the Republicans in the House. And so this is a map that was sent down from up in D.C. somewhere.
What do you think is going to happen with Congresswoman Julie Johnson? Because she's got a decision to make. Does she run in 32 under the new map if it's approved, which would become a Republican majority district, or does she have to challenge Congressman Vesey, whose district would move solely in Dallas County?
Yeah, I think that we will hopefully work it out about who runs where. Obviously, both of them are now in Republican districts. No one currently resides in 30. And then I reside in 33. So I think it is a matter of kind of us talking about what's what, while also recognizing that because there is new territory, there also may be new contenders to come in. So, for me, I'm going to get to polling because I feel confident I can win wherever I run. I do, but ultimately, I'm trying to get a pulse on the district, right? So I ended up with 200,000 additional people into 30. They are all coming from Tarrant County. I know nothing about those 200,000 people, whereas where I live, obviously about 200,000 of us are still where I currently live, along with a lot of the old 100 as well as a lot of the old 30, going all the way to that eastern portion, getting that Pleasant Grove, some of that got thrown into 32. So, it's about kind of, does Mark Vesey fit better into 30 now because it does have some Tarrant or not? And does Julie just kind of fit better at running in 33 than me? And is my district going to be okay with me running and being on this fixed government income and therefore not buying a home in the newly constructed 30? Obviously, I don't have to live there under federal rules.
Right.
But, some people want somebody that lives in the district, but obviously the vast majority of this district I have represented without actually living in the portions that they've left in 30.
So if I hear you correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, you're actually debating about whether to run in a different district than 30?
I'm debating about whether or not I would run where they put me, which is where I live. Yeah.
In 33?
In 33.
And what about the idea of just moving back into 30?
Again, on this fixed income that I am paid in Congress, the idea of actually buying a new home or getting it, we don't get enough money. I'm being honest, and I know that some people may take issue with that because they talk about how much money we make, and I get it. It's not that we're obviously getting minimum wage, but by the time you talk about I have a mortgage, and I have an interest rate that is like 3%. Mm-hmm. Interest rates are not that low anymore, right? That's number one. Number two, so it's a matter of, do you sell your home, then go somewhere else and get a higher interest rate? Like, there's all these variables, and as a single woman who has one income, who's not allowed to make outside income, there's a lot to be had there. I think I have a strong enough rapport with what is left in 30 that they trust me to be a strong advocate for these areas that I've already represented. I know nothing about this new 200,000. And so we are absolutely, I'm a data-driven girl. So we're gonna run the numbers. And then obviously I wanna talk to my colleagues and say what kind of makes sense so that at least hopefully two of us have the best shot at going back.
Last week, Congressman Vesey and Congresswoman Johnson said they're really focusing on this fight against the new maps before they consider their options for re-election. Up next, what Texas voters think about all this when Eye on Politics from the Texas Capitol returns. A new poll shows mixed results about how Texas voters feel about this redistricting battle. Regarding the 5 new GOP-majority congressional seats, the Emerson College poll of 1,000 registered voters in Texas found 36% support the new maps, while 38% oppose them and 26% are unsure. But when asked if Republicans in Texas are entitled to 5 more seats, something President Trump said. 40% of those surveyed said they agreed, 38% disagreed, and 22% are neutral. Speaker Burrows signed civil arrest warrants against the Democrats who broke quorum, and the new poll shows 41% agree they should be arrested, 37% disagree, 22% are neutral. And in the bitter Republican primary for the Texas Senate race, the poll found 30% support incumbent Senator John Cornyn, with Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton 1 point behind at 29%. 5% said they want someone else. 37% are undecided. Previous polls have shown Paxton leading Cornyn. And remember, you can watch all the full interviews from today's show on our CBS Texas YouTube page. And when you're there, please hit the subscribe button. That's all for Eye on Politics this week. I'm Jack Fink. I am listening, and we are listening to you at CBS News Texas. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back again next week. More reports from the Texas Capitol tomorrow. And from all of us here, have a great Sunday.